So, good evening from India, and hi. We are going to study forward, and I'm going to tell you some of my experiences about homeopathy and in this current crisis that we all are in. I thought I should just tell you a little bit about what we are doing because we are handling a lot of cases of COVID in and across India and outside, from our students, from our patients, and I felt that after a lot of emails and letters and messages that everyone wants us to share a little bit about what we are doing and what are the clinical indications of few remedies. I thought might as well tell some of the clinical ideas which I was a little reluctant to share initially because I wanted to have a very large clinical experience before sharing, but I felt this time is right to at least talk about clinical indications. So very interesting remedy I want to talk to you today, which I feel will be very important in today's times, would be the remedy phosphoric acid. So, I'm not going to tell you a drug picture of phosphoric acid, but I want to tell you about the clinical indication of phosphoric acid. What would be the clinical indication? So typically, one of the first things that I saw in one of the cases was this case that I was treating initially had just cold, cough, diarrhea, a lot of weakness. We gave him our constitutional remedy that was indicated, and it turned out he was COVID positive. He was quarantined. Um, lot of weakness, lot of exhaustion, and fever. Fever wouldn't go down at all. And he was a very robust athlete, but he started losing weight. Lot of weakness. Wouldn't have the energy to get up. Extreme tiredness, and towards the end, he felt that he wants to, but he can't, and maybe he had done too much of exercises before. And the interesting part was that in the fever, I would ask him that what are the symptoms in fever. He said that I have no symptom, just weakness and no pain at all. And this is where I used Fatak repertory. I want to show you a very interesting rubric that I took that you should know. The first rubric I took was, let's see, fever, painless. Can you see this rubric, everyone? Fever, painless. First rubric. There are two remedies here. Both are phosphorus, phosphoric acid, phosphorus. The second rubric I took was he didn't feel like doing anything, inactive, apathetic, yeah, and then a lot of weakness, yeah, and finally one of the very important symptoms that he had done too much of exhaustion, too much of work, and now he was unable to do anything, apathetic against unequal struggling, too much of hecticity of his professional work. And when I looked at these rubrics very beautifully, the remedy came was phosphoric acid. I gave him phosphoric acid. I started with 30 and I frequently repeated it. And beautiful, absolutely beautiful. His symptoms, his weakness, the so called post COVID syndrome that we talk about, extreme exhaustion, he improved, and phosphoric acid helped him very nicely. So, this is where I wanted to talk a little bit about indications of phosphoric acid. Maybe one of your patients may need it. So, there's a very interesting case of a very famous homeopath who went to see a case, and this patient had a symptom where the doctor asked him, "What are your symptoms?" and the patient wouldn't even look at him. He would start looking at the wall. Interesting, no? So there's a very interesting addition of a rubric which is there. Let's have a look. Indifference. Um, let's see if I can see this. Indifference. There's a very interesting sub rubric. Let me show you that directly, of phosphoric acid, which I feel is a very important rubric um, that we should know. Let's see if I can see that rubric for you. Mhm. See, so this is the rubric. Bed desire to remain in and wants to face the wall. There's a single remedy. This is phosphoric acid, ladies and gentlemen. This is a little later stage of phosphoric acid. So this is where I want to talk to you a little bit about the phases. Yeah, the phases of remedies very often. Um, that we may not normally think about these kind of phases of remedies. Okay, let's have a look at phases of the remedy. So typically there'll be different phases of most remedies, but about phosphoric acid, the phase may start in the mind. So too much of exhaustion, mental exhaustion, either too much of grief, too much of care, too much of disappointment, too much of struggle at any part of life. Someone is just struggling to try to woo a woman. Someone is struggling to work to try to please his or her boss. A wife is struggling to try to please the mother-in-law. Too much of mental struggle, too much hectic. This is the struggle. This is the initial phase of phosphoric acid. And there is a kind of a fog. There's a kind of a weakness. There's a kind of fatigue that sets in. There is what I showed you, very beautiful painless fever that comes in. This is the initial stage. This is the initial stage of phosphoric acid. And after that, gradually, the next stage comes in when you don't give phosphoric acid at this point. Then the next stage comes in where there's a little bit of a respiratory sphere symptoms come up where they develop dry cough, typically from the chest or the abdomen, aggravated by dry cold air. They may develop a little later some pathology like fibrosis, or in the gastrointestinal tract they may develop some colonic diseases. I had a very interesting case of an old lady with diverticulosis which improved very beautifully with the acid phos for a very long time. She died a few days back, but for a very long time she improved, and she gave me many blessings, many. um, so gastrointestinal tract, also brain related nervous diseases. And after all of this, when we are not able to tackle these disorders, then it goes into a final stage where there is a kind of a indifference. They become listless. They don't want to do anything to do with anyone. They won't even look at you. Doctors come and look at them, they are like, huh? They don't want to answer. It's all those rubrics coming. Answer reluctant, answer refuses. Hmm? And then when we miss cases even here, and that's when they go into a little later stage, that is the last stage, that's the coma stage, unconscious stage. So these are different stages. You need to know that the symptoms, which rubrics, which keynotes fall in which stage. Phosphoric acid is never going to directly come into your clinic in an unconscious stage. You have to know which stage, different phases of remedies. Try to understand. This is how you have to understand. Phosphoric acid can be helped in coma case also. It can help in upper respiratory tract, fever and cough also. But you should know how to prescribe. You should know the genius. That's what I'm trying to share with all of you. It took me a lot of years to understand this. I had to break my head. I made many mistakes. Many patients didn't improve. I failed. And then I learned. And I'm still learning. That's a different thing. But I just felt like sharing this with you. There are different stages. You need to know which stage what symptoms come up. You have to develop your own materia medica. Don't depend on me. Don't depend on any homeopath. Build your own materia medica. I'm trying to set an example to all of you. How can you build your own materia medica? That's what I do. That's what I love doing. That's why I know I'm in this planet for doing. I found my purpose. I hope you find yours. So, phosphoric acid. Let's come back. You say that Dr. Gaurang talks more of philosophy. So, I want to avoid that. Okay, so phosphoric acid. Let's come back. What are the main symptoms of phosphoric acid? Let me tell you. The most important thing typically, you will see a lot of weakness. Weakness on rising. Note down this rubrics, the one who's transcripting. Weakness after rising. Lot of weakness. Obviously, after exertion. Extreme exhaustion with chilliness after acute disease. So someone has a fever, improves, and then weakness remains. Think about phosphoric acid. In fact, any phosphorus, even Califos, Fatak Repertory has given 3 remedies. Weakness after influenza, Califos. Another interesting remedy, Abrotanum. Many remedies. Boric has given Natrum salicylicum. Okay. Weakness after depressing emotions. Interesting, no? 3 remedies only. Weakness after slight exertion. Weakness, typhoid. Pierce has written weakness in a non-restless fever. देखो restless means rust ox, arsenic. Non-restless, one of the top remedies, phosphoric acid. Acids come in. Weakness after grief, weakness from disappointment, weakness lying ameliorate. It's actually not lying ameliorate, but they feel like lying, they can't do anything. Weakness with little sexuality. Weakness from mortification. देखिए, whenever the fever weakness comes up after kind of a emotional insult, don't go to stab, it is phosphoric acid, okay? Weakness, nursing, weakness in nutritional complaints, so B12 deficiencies, any kind of deficiency causing weakness, think about it. I am trying to teach you to learn how to read homeopathic materia medica in today's times. Weakness in ovarian complaint, weakness with perspiration, cold, weakness rising, weakness sit up must, sleep ameliorate, I had a very interesting thyroid case. The only symptom was short sleep ameliorate. I gave phosphoric acid, beautiful improvement, beautiful. We did very well. Weakness after suppressed diarrhea, phosphoric acid. Coryza suppressed aggravate, China. China and phosphoric acid very close, huh? Read. The book you should read is Farrington, Kent, and Pierce Plain Talks and N.M. Chowdhury to understand phosphoric acid better. Weakness in urination, weakness, vertigo, walking ameliorate, and extreme neurasthenic, paralytic weakness. Interesting. See the, I think it's one of the remedies in homeopathy which has maximum weakness rubrics. And with that, they will have. You can see here. Let's see. We'll have many cravings. Top craving will obviously be for fruit juices. We know this, right? Typical. We've been learning about this for a very long time. Fruit, juicy fruits, but not just for juicy fruit. Any kind of liquid fruit like Staphysagrine. Hmm? And another very important I want to tell you, there are a lot of fruit aggravations also. Orange aggravates, interestingly. And there's a lot of nausea on sight of food, like sausages, non-veg. Sight of food aggravate. There's a lot of desire for stimulants. Stimulant desire chill during, like China. But tea aggravates. So differentiation between China and phosphoric acid. China wants tea, phosphoric acid aggravates by tea. Tonics. Because of the weakness, they want all juicy things. Warm food ameliorate. Also cold food desire. Phosphoric acid. Huh? This is in today's times. Carbonated. So they want to have Pepsi. So in fever, they want Pepsi, Coke. Huh? Interesting. Desire for beer. Desire for beer after colic. Single remedy. Phosphoric acid. Interesting. So this is a little bit about phosphoric acid. Weakness. I am trying to teach you right from going in depth. Huh? Also the cough. Most of the cough of phosphoric acid aggravated by dry cold air. Very often related to emotions, aggravated by anger. Another remedy is Cistus canadensis. As if there is a throat pit dryness, feather sensation, aggravated by lying down. Dry cough is lying down aggravate. Dry cough after disappointment in love, single remedy, Nair has given. Interesting. See, you have to understand disappointment in love doesn't only mean romantic, it could be anything. It could be as if you wanted to be a best homeopath, you couldn't be, your disappointment in love because the love for you was to be the best homeopath. So you have to understand it. Think tangentially. As a homeopath, you have to think tangentially. No? Tickling from chest, as in dry cough, tickling from chest. ये important है. This is very important. Hacking cough. Loose cough in the evening. Loose cough in the evening. Music aggravates the cough. Yes, you're right. Lot of grief, grief, grief. Tickling at bifurcation of chest, sternum, sternum. Little bit about cough. Yeah. I hope you're getting an idea what we are trying to tell you. I hope so. Respiration. Hmm? Respiration, lot of tightness, but respiration very deep during fever. Hahnemann has given single remedy. Note it down. Desire to take deep breath, like Ignatia. Difficulty in breathing after anger, emotions, disappointment in love. Nair has given very nice rubric. Respiration difficult after disappointment in love. So difficult, unable to talk, with weakness, extreme weakness, oppression, tightness, rattling. So interesting, no? And a little bit I would like to tell you about the mind state. Typically, the first thing you will see is they can be very absent-minded at the initial stage. Absent-minded while reading. Initially, they are affectionate. Initially they are phosphorus like at a very initial state. Later on, you'd see the acid phos situation. A little later, you'll also see them having a lot of anger when they're obliged to give the case. They don't want to give. They look like Naxomika, but without that temper, just an inner anger. They in that time they will not want to answer stupor, answer curtly, abruptly, unintelligible, answer inappropriately, incoherently, reluctantly, answer monosyllable. What is happening? Nothing. What do you want to do? I don't know. You're having fever? Hmm. This is phosphoric acid. But very interestingly, in phosphoric acid, if you see, there is a lot of more than anxiety. You will see a lot of dullness, confusion, cloudiness, stupor. You should know about this. What else? This is a very interesting rubric. Bed remain in desire to face to wall. There's a very famous case. I think Nash has written about it, about a typhoid case. Brooding about condition of one's own illness, brooding over disappointment, constant brooding. There are some. Okay, there is more company aversion to in phosphoric acid than company desire. There is a lot of dreams, but dreams are often about business or about their relatives or someone very important, or they are trying to do something. This is very important. Dreams, efforts unsuccessful, do various things. So they are trying, but they are not able to do something. They are falling from high place. A subconscious level, they feel they are failing a lot. They are trying something, but they are failing. Sexuality, dreams of sexuality. Pursued, someone is pursuing. I'm being hunted. Again, they are trying to do something, but they are not able to. You will see this. This is acid. Huh? Lot of dullness. What is the headache of phosphoric acid? Crushing headache on the vertex. N.M. Chowdhury, read. See, my Materia Medica series is just a stimulant for you to go and read these books. Dullness, extreme dullness in this remedy. And what else I wanted to tell you? Something very important. Yeah, indifference. There is a lot of indifference a little later. Indifference with emaciation and weakness. They don't want to talk to anyone. One concomitant is, along with indifference or all symptoms, there will be a lot of diarrhea, there will be or vomiting or urination or sweat free. But they will, when there is diarrhea, there is not weakness. This is one of the keynotes. Very important. Phatak's favorite symptom, I want to tell you, indifference, struggling, unequal adverse circumstances with Phatak. This means, this is a central rubric of this remedy. It means in their life, in the situation in their life, they are just like like sandwich in between of situation. They are trying, but they just now have to give up. I can't do it anymore. I can't do it. I just can't. This is phosphoric acid. Indifference. Then the whole rubrics of indifference comes in. You have to understand the genius rubrics you will learn. Hmm? So this is a little bit I wanted to share with you. I hope you got an idea. I start with 30 potency nowadays in COVID cases when there is weakness. But if there is no response, I jump to 1 m and I will just give one dose, wait and watch. Beautiful phosphoric acid. Use it and write to me about your experience. And before I finish about phosphoric acid, see the beautiful line it's written by Kent. Mental enfeeblement. All cases of phosphoric acid have a kind of a look into their face. Kent writes, "Don't talk to me, let me alone." So nice, no? And Boger Synoptic writes a very beautiful first line: weak or debilitated with free secretions. So nice. So I hope you got a little bit of an idea. It's a very important remedy in post-COVID cases also, but I will make about videos about that a little later. But I hope you got an idea and write to me what you learned. And if you are seeing cases of COVID, you're having problems, write to me, gaurang@gmail.com, and I will try to help as much as I can because we are seeing many cases of all types of pathology now, but emergency. Thank you.